blessings to everyone. I pray that your morning, afternoon, evening is going well. I want to welcome you back to the Be and It Is channel. My name is Carol, and I'm going to dive right into the first project of the new year, which is the start of our indoor winter flowering garden. And this year, we're going to feature again the Amaryllis bulbs that we placed in dormancy just before fall hit. And so this is the first time that I've ever placed them into dormancy, and I want to make sure that, first of all, that I did it right, and secondly, that they do rebloom in the 8 to 10 weeks that it's going to actually take them to do it. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to stagger these because I have a lot of them. And so we're going to stagger their growth, and I believe I have enough to get us through the winter and into springtime. So we'll be able to see some of the beautiful array of blooms that are just exquisite. They are elegant. They are brilliant in the colors that they produce. And it's just the right remedy for anybody who wants to grow and see color like me during these snowy, cold winter days that we've already been experiencing. And before we get into all of that, I want to remind you to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that when more videos pop out like this, you'll be informed. So before I start talking about the process of dormancy and how that actually works, I want to share with you that my husband and I and several other people took part in 3 college-level agricultural classes this past year that were provided by Life Sciences of Washington from Mr. Victor Muhammad, who is a biomedical and agricultural research scientist. And so we wanted to support independent education, as we all should. And I tell you, these classes were eye-opening. They were demystifying and very scientific. And one of the branches of agriculture that we studied was botany, and botany is the study of all plants. And so when I began to look up dormancy and the process of dormancy, of bringing these plants out of dormancy, I thought about the manner in which we were taught in these classes, which was to really look at the anatomy and physiology of plants and animals that you are working with, and also the chemistry related to their growth and development, their feed, and making sure that it's nutritionally sound for both your plants and your animals. And so what I did was, I want to show you, let me just show you this as I'm talking about this class and how it was helpful in some profound information that I found out as it relates to this beautiful bulb. So this is one of the Amaryllis bulbs that I allowed to just grow. I wanted to see what happens after it blooms, and what happens is you get these beautiful leaves, the foliage that grows after it blooms. It just keeps, as long as you're fertilizing it and watering it and giving it indirect sunlight, it's going to continue to grow these striking leaves. And they don't just flop like this. They do when, I guess, they give out energy, but they grow outward, they curl, some of them curl, all of them are really different in how they present after they've bloomed. And so this one and several other ones that you'll see on the table, once I switch the camera around, I just kept them in the home and inside the home for them to just have greenery, as you see here. And so what happens is the leaves actually go through photosynthesis like all plants do, and they take the sunlight and use it to create energy. And so that energy is stored in this bulb. So as it grows and produces these leaves, that energy is just feeding the bulb of this plant. And so what we're going to do is put it into dormancy, and all that means is that you're giving it a rest period so that that energy can fortify and use the energy that it was getting, that it made, so that hopefully you give it enough time, it's going to rebloom, resurge, rebloom, and give you more flowers that you can have your wintertime or for just throughout the summer. And doing the research, I looked at some gardening periodicals and some blogs on specifically dormancy. And one of the articles talked about the anatomy of the plant. So this is an example. This is actually a particular variety that we grew last year. It's called the Picasso. With the anatomy of the Amaryllis, you have the roots in. See how that is? And then you have the actual bulb itself, and it has this papery tunic covering on it. And then it has the foliage that's growing here. So your green leaves grow, and then as the green leaves grow, you get more of the resurgence of the actual stem and then the actual bloom or the flower itself. Now, this particular article that I was reading, it called this stem escape. And I was thinking to myself, now, escape. The only thing that I know of in my limited knowledge of gardening that grows escape is garlic. Hardneck garlic grows escape. So I began to think about, well, I wonder if they related to each other. And guess what I found? So what I found out was that botanically, these two, the garlic and the amaryllis, are related to each other. They're in the same family. They're in a family called the Amaryllidaceae family. And so you have the ornamental branch of this flower that is, or of this family that is where the amaryllis flower and also daffodils, your snowflakes, and your snowdrops are all part of the amaryllis family, this ornamental part. And then you have the allium family or the allium genus of this family, and that's where you have garlic, onions, your chives, your leeks, your shallots, all of which I have grown in my garden. And I had no clue that they were of the same family. So that's the value of these agricultural classes that I took, because perhaps had I not taken it and wanted to have the mind that I wanted to know more about this plant, and making sure that it's in the right soil, making sure that it's getting all the nutrients that it needs, and everything about it, of putting it into dormancy and taking it out of dormancy, is so key. Is one group, the allium group, is edible. We actually eat the leaves and the bulbs of these plants, right? And we do not eat the amaryllis. The amaryllis is actually, most of them are toxic, so they're not edible. So this is more for show, to showcase all these beautiful, vibrant colors and beautiful petals that are just winter bright and all elegance in their spectacular diversity of species that they have, varieties that they are, and they're not edible. But we can eat the onion, the garlic, the leeks, the chives, and all of that. They share in their underground structure, as you can see here. This is upright, but this is how it was grown, like that. Right? So these are the roots. These are the roots. So they share in that underground structure of them. They also share in their bulb growth. They share in their sulfur chemistry. One you do not eat, it's not edible, and one we just eat all the time, right? And in their seasonal growth pattern and how we grow these. So I just thought that that was mind blowing for me, in that I grow onions and garlics because I know of their medicinal uses that they have in the body. And we're taught that we can eat as much onion and garlic as we want, so I grow as much onions and garlic as I can every single year. And so I thought that that was pretty interesting, in that this was a plant that caught my eye last year, finding that I could grow it, but I never really looked at the structure of this bulb and how it looks like an onion. It looks like it grows like garlic with uh, escape that we grow here. So let me switch cameras and show you how we're actually going to place some of them, or I'm just going to do one. I'm going to place one of these into dormancy. I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to bring one of them out of dormancy from last year, and then I'm going to share some of the other new arrivals that we got last year that will be a part of this garden. Okay, so these are the amaryllis bulbs that I have in the greenhouse and brought inside, and they've been inside the home since October. I'm going to leave this foliage, these leaves alone. I'm not going to allow them. I'm going to allow them to die back on themselves, because perhaps it still gives some energy source for the bulb as it goes dormant. I'm going to put them in the basement. I'm not going to take them out of the pot. I'm going to leave them right here. You can certainly take them out and go bare root with them, get them down to the root, knock all the soil off, and just place them on a tray in the basement or in a cool area that's about 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 to 10 weeks, I'll say. Okay. I'm not going to water them anymore. They haven't had any water sent for over 2 weeks, these plants. So they'll continue to not have any water for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and then we'll bring these out of dormancy. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm just going to move these out of the way, and I'm going to show you how to bring this plant out of dormancy. I'm going to talk about this a little. I'm going to take one that was in the pot. I have decided to just allow them to go into dormancy in their pots. So that's how I did the process. I allowed them to go back into dormancy in the pots that they were originally potted in. I'm going to actually remove this soil off of here because it's probably fine in the you see how beautiful it looks like it's like garlic, it's like an onion. So we can actually take that paper off, and we're going to just take off some of this dead leaf material here. Right. I just want to show you the root system. I'm just going to leave that all intact. I'm not going to be cutting anything. I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like. If you were to do this and just have the bare roots, it would just be the roots and the bulb, and then you could just put it on a tray and put it in dormancy like that for the 6 to 8 to 10 weeks that you want it to go into dormancy. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to use this to show you how to pot this up. So in reawakening our amaryllis bulbs and hope that it will grow and bloom for us, you want to make sure that it's getting the proper nutrition. It's just potting soil. Regular potting soil is a good medium for these types of bulbs because it drains well, and it has the right balance of nutrients that's necessary to help a plant to grow. But your regular potting soil is what you want for this. We do have compost, but we don't want any kind of compost. We grow our own compost, but the compost would be too compacted. Plus it's frozen, but it's too compacted to allow the roots to develop, and it will stunt the growth of your bloom that you're trying to produce, right? So just potting soil is what we're going to use. And then you want to choose a pot size that is about 1 inch away from the actual bulb itself. So about 1 inch away is what you want to plant this soil in, about 1 inch wider than the bulb itself, because the bulb most people likes to snuggle, and it encourages the flower to actually grow rather than all these roots to really grow. So what you're going to do is you're going to add some cardboard. Make sure that the pot has drainage holes in it. You always want to make sure it drains water because you don't want your plants to be waterlogged, and then it ruins these bulbs, and some of these bulbs are fairly expensive. All right, so now we're going to put this in the bottom. That's just to prevent the soil from going through. And then I'm going to add I'm going to put it in maybe 1/4 of the way. Okay, and then I'm just going to place this down. You can disturb these plants if you want. You can put them in water if you like, just to hydrate it a little bit. But I'm just going to guide these down. Be very delicate with these because these are your new roots that have formed. Okay, and then we're going to fill it up to, let me take it back out again, to 1/3 to 1/2 of the way. So maybe about right here, right on the shoulders of the amaryllis bulb. It's really pretty. This bulb. Nice, healthy bulb there. And that's one that I'm taking out of dormancy that I had last year. So this one is called a red lion. And that's why I went ahead and added some new varieties to my garden, because I know what these look like. They are very beautiful and I'm very grateful. However, I wanted to see what some other ones look like too. Like so. Now remember last year, if you look at go back and look at some of the channels, or if you recall, I did put some of these in water. I just wanted to do a little experiment to see how well they did in water. And they grew just as well in water as they did in soil. So you don't have to just do all of them in soil. Some of them I will put in water. And that's about where you want it to be. And then I'm gonna water it with some water and just show. And when you water it, you're not going on top like that. You're gonna water around the base of the soil like that because you don't want to ruin your bowl and make it rotten. And that's about as much as I use. And I just let that run down. Make sure you have a receptacle to catch your water. And then I'm just gonna take some of this straw that came with the other plants, the other bulbs, and I'm just gonna put it in there like that. That's how you would do that. So that's taking them out of I almost said out of bondage, but out of dormancy. And just making that pot look decorative. If you want, you can put the name or the tag back in there. And I recommend you tag them because you always want to know what you got. Yeah, so that's how you bring your bulbs, your amaryllis bulbs out of dormancy. So I'm going to go ahead and end the presentation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And on the next video, we will actually take you through the process of how I made the apple cider vinegar. And hopefully by that time, if I can show you how I'm going to bottle them up and share in the proceeds of that with some family and friends. And yeah, that'll be the next one. And hopefully you will enjoy the rest of your day as I will strive to do as well. So thank you for joining.